tell my union story too.
Okay.
See the way my union works.
There's something else there.
uh, so
My dad was a union guy. He he was in like a metal worker and like dock worker union.
mm,
It's like a one of those whole like mafia rackets. You know what I'm saying?
They are,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
I will share my story today as well.
yeah, so that's what he did like his whole life, um, until he retired. Put in about 30 some odd years, and he gets letters like regularly, like telling him that like it's insolvent and they don't have enough workers to pay into it currently, so that they're gonna have to like slash his benefit because whatever investment choices they made weren't sound, and
mm,
they don't have like enough assets to pay like
retirement
these
and shit.
people until
Yeah.
they die. Yeah, but key bear in mind though the fact that there's not enough people in those unions presently to keep paying into the system,
Mm,
and
So we
that's
can talk about that in a bit.
Mhm.
yeah.
But one other thing, just to give you a heads up, at the end, we'll give you well, there's two things.
Mm.
Shortly before the end, and I'll start coughing and sputtering or something, or just jump in and say and ask the question. But we have this. There's just this card game called Ask Hole, and they
Okay,
have provocative questions that to spark conversations. And
I like that. Okay.
so we'll ask you an Ask Hole question, and then also give you like the final word as our guest to.
He is the best person, and like by bar none, the best person to ask those types of questions. I will say that, dude.
I can be a bit unfettered,
Yeah.
I, don't gas me up though. All right, I don't want to start hamming it up and
Well,
get all cringy.
remember, 8:45 is a hard cutoff. So
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
because
got you.
my drugs are going to wear off, and I'm already been having a lot of issues today. So
I'm sorry to hear that, bro, but we'll try to adhere to that.
Try.
almost dipped out on Jake, but I didn't want him thinking I was watching football or something
No,
stupid.
Nah. We know.
I told them that Brennan Circus cut it out.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, did anybody catch any of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the Patriots won, didn't they?
Oh my gosh, did you watch it?
I mean, it was Tom Brady, Gronk,
Uh
AB, right? That's all I.
huh.
Good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Okay, okay, you get some cool points for that. Did
I mean,
I?
that's the Patriots. They won
That's a
again.
Patriot team to me.
I was saying,
Who was coaching?
Bruce Arian. He was the old
Okay.
Cardinals coach, if you remember correctly. But yeah, I was saying, as soon as Brady said he was going to the Bucks, I was like, "Yep, I'm riding that Tom Brady train straight up." Did not give a fuck who else was even better. I was just like, "Yep, fuck Bill Belichick, fuck the Patriots. Go win
Mm.
your seventh Super Bowl, get the fuck out of the league, and just go down as the greatest of all time." I mean, I don't think anybody would
Yeah.
question that.
Didn't the last time the Bucks won was against the Raiders? And that
It
was
was.
when
It was.
that was like the year the Traders fired John Gruden, and he went to the Buccaneers, took the playbook with him,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
and you could see him on the sidelines smirking when you watch him line up, whispering in his mic, and then the Traders just get obliterated.
Yeah, that was the Jerry Rice was playing for the Raiders,
I think
and
so.
I forget the quarterback. He was really good. I forget his name. Number
Oh fuck, who
three.
was that at the time?
Fuck. Gosh, he was a really good quarterback, and it was a shame he didn't win a Super Bowl. But that I remember specifically. Like they had Jerry Rice mic'd up, and they had like someone else from the Bucks mic'd up, and they were gonna go throughout the game and hear like I'm talking trash or on the
Talking
sideline.
shit to each other.
Yeah,
Jerry Rice doesn't talk trash though.
and after the first half, like Jerry Rice took that shit out of his helmet because they were down by like three or four scores at the half. I think it was like 40 something to like 10, or it was just ridiculous. It was a shellacking.
Well, you'd think that if you went against your former team, you would change the playbook.
Hmm. I
Or
mean,
former
maybe.
coach, you would change the playbook a little bit.
But then you have to make your own plays. That's a little bit difficult.
Exactly.
Oh,
I
Well,
mean,
anyhow, fuck the
at least
Traders.
at least against that opponent, right?
And welcome to the show.
No,
yes.
thank you guys for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
We got one.
Thanks.
We got one of those special things where we get a special guest on, and like Darian said, this is the Jake and Drake show, and here we are with MannyHarlem.
He's being a bit sensational. I'm by no means special.
Oh.
Not doubly so.
You see,
You're right here. You're doubling our viewership, listenership right now.
You are.
I'm just a little exceptional, but I wouldn't say I'm off the wall, off the chart special. But
he's the king of hot
guys.
takes, as seen by the
Yeah,
background
yeah.
in his video feed here.
I'm in hell, baby. And this is like Sartre said, hell is other people.
So we got to
I
sacrifice
could
Brady.
be a bit of a
right?
nihilist, but I love y'all. I love you.
We got to sacrifice Brady. We got to sacrifice a goat to you.
Oh,
That's it.
sacrifice
That's
the
it.
goat.
His wife is probably working on it.
Oh man.
But yeah.
So did you have the Bucks winning, Manny, or did you have?
I did. I had no skin in the game. I wasn't really like rooting for anybody. Last time I was really invested in the Super Bowl when my Giants were in it.
Mm-hmm.
Back with the Ravens, and then most recently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just I'm more of a combat sports guy. Teamwork is cool and all that, but I don't know. I think there's something to be said about one guy figuring something out.
Honestly, I had no idea who was even playing.
Plan.
I had no idea what teams were even playing until today.
Yeah.
That's how much interest I've got in football anymore.
Yeah, I hear that.
And just watching today's game kind of solidified it for me.
Wait, didn't you watch last year's Super Bowl with your 49ers?
No, 49ers never my team. Fuck the 49ers.
I thought they were your team.
No.
I thought you were a Colin Kaepernick fan. I thought you was
No, my teams were always have always been the Raiders, and then Seahawks for my NFC team, and now fuck the Raiders. So
they move closer to you though. So I mean, they're like right down the road instead of all the way on the West Coast. So they're a little bit closer.
They're fuck the Raiders still. They're right. Traitors. Fuck the traitors.
If there was a Tool concert and you were there in Vegas, are you telling me that you wouldn't go see a Traitors game?
I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't see a Traitors game if they gave me free tickets or free box seats.
That tribalism, guys, that's what's wrong with this country.
Yeah, it is.
No, they fucking. I stuck with them when they moved to LA. Okay. I stuck with them when they moved back. And then they ran off to Vegas for the money and left behind a hardcore fan base. They shit on us. I took the fucking train to Oakland to see them play bunches of times, but they shit on us, and so fuck them. They don't get any more of my money.
That's how I feel about Kevin Durant not coming to the Knicks.
Yeah,
a little aside there, but yeah. I feel you. Fuck Brooklyn. The Nets are still New Jersey's team.
And then like all the commercials and virtue signaling commercials and stuff, and fuck, I don't even know if I want a Jeep anymore. God damn.
Some of them. Every commercial's got to have a mixed race couple.
Some of them were kind of good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in fact, they had the Tracy Morgan commercials for the mortgages, right? And
he's the man. He's the man.
Those were pretty funny.
But I was sitting there, I was thinking like he's pretty funny, but I think I like Homeboy from Good Burger a little bit better.
Kenan Thompson.
Yeah, the sketches he does on SNL.
I met him when right before I got into teaching. Mm-hmm. I was a service manager for Wells Fargo for like their retail branch sector. Mm-hmm. And I was managing a branch that we were consolidating with another one, like right on 40 something in Madison, 44th and like 5th in Madison, right between there, not too far from like 30 Rock. So like he came in one time, like nonchalantly, like deposited a guest. Like, yo, it took so much for me not to ask him, like, you got a production company? Like, I'll quit right now. Take me with you, Kenan. Take me, rescue me. Just take off my tie right then and there. Take me, Kenan.
He's good. He's funny, but I mean, there was they weren't all political, which is they had some beer commercials that weren't really political, and there were some commercials that were just stupid. But that was my take from the get go. Was like,
you'll have to curate a list for us and put it on the Discord.
Oh, okay.
So you could
my favorite commercial though was a local Spokane commercial where they kept bleeping out bowl, and they're like, well, we can't say Super Bowl, and, and they were kept bleeping out bowl and this and that, and Wait, I can say Sugar Bowl, right? I can say Superb Owl, right? But I
Okay.
can't say Super Bowl. You know.
Superb owl.
Ha ha ha. Yeah.
The linguistic side of me is giddy right now. I like that. I like that.
So what's up
Yeah.
with in a nutshell?
Mm,
What is up with you? Like currently, what are you doing besides?
Before we jump that way, I want one last question
Oh,
related to today's sports ball.
all right.
The hubbub about the first female referee of a Super Bowl.
Okay.
What was your take on that?
There shouldn't have been a hubbub. It's not like she was playing the game. She was just
bro,
officiating. She was
she
officiating.
she she broke a gender barrier. Okay, she's
Mhm.
like the fucking Jackie Robinson of officiating in
Mhm.
football.
I don't care
That's
though if it's a
momentous.
girl or a boy or someone
It's
from
it's
Mars
it's
officiating. Just
momentous, bro.
actually get the calls right for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Well,
like
what?
she's like before you know it, they're gonna have like female like ownership, executives.
So,
It's
so what you're
it's
talking about
only
here?
uphill from here.
Did she miss a call? What did she make a
No,
wrong?
no, 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 no. I don't know if she missed calls, but I'm just saying in general. I don't care who's officiating as long as you get the
Oh,
calls right
yeah, no,
I mean,
like
that's
I
and
fair.
aren't
said,
on Tom Brady's dick.
That's fair.
no, I agree with both of you guys. Yeah, it was cool. It was a
Yeah.
female breaking barriers. I didn't care. I didn't think.
Yeah. No, no, I'm being super sarcastic, by the way. I don't
Oh,
think that that's something that should be
I mean,
something that should be touted.
yeah,
It is what it is.
it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's like I said,
Yeah.
if she
If it were a female player, for
exactly,
sure. Like
exactly,
what?
And I could see that too,
What?
definitely.
Yeah.
yeah.
An owner maybe, like somebody in the front office that's like, oh snap, like they've never had like a female in that organization. Like
Well, didn't don't they
that's
have
pretty
doesn't
awesome.
who's the lady that owns the Lakers? Is a female, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean
Janine
Jeannie
Brown,
Buss, but she like
or Bus.
she inherited that. Like
Oh,
that's
she
you know
was
what I'm
hot
saying?
too, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, Jeannie.
yeah.
That's a hot older woman.
Well, there you
Hey,
go.
now,
I
I
need.
think she's like younger than me or my age.
I still need a PS5.
Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it.
I don't
No,
know.
yeah. Hey, I need a sugar mama. You know what I'm Because like to sort of seg into what you were asking, like for the moment, like I just been on like a radical sabbatical.
Hmm.
The pandy kind of I don't want to go fucking take a certification exam with a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Pearson is insisting on it, so I'm just kind of riding this thing out. Been making a couple bucks, like buying cryptos when they dip and reselling them when they peak,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of subsisting that way. But like, uh,
Are you riding the Doge train?
I'm not. Yeah, it's just the idea limitless supply. Like the allure that like Bitcoin has for me is that there's only ever gonna be 21 million of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like even like right now with the way money's being printed, like all these stimulus is being signed, like that. It'd be safe to surmise that the value of the money in circulation is gonna go down, right? So it's like Bitcoin. As soon as they hit that 21 million, it has nothing but an upside. As long as they don't like kill the internet, they don't hit the internet kill switch. Like I think that that's just like a safe bet, like a good haven to have your money in and not fucking depreciating like crazy. You know? So I just been doing that, like the Ethereum, Ripple. They just got sued by the SEC, but I haven't lost a ton of money in there, so I'm just kind of holding that too and crossing my fingers.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you're a better man than me. I too attached to my money lately, so. But
yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. If you like keeping it in the bank and getting pennies on the dollar for it,
I just like
you paying to
spending
keep it
it.
in the bank.
I just like spending
Oh,
it.
oh man, hey, more power to you.
Spending it
More
while I'm
power.
still alive. I got a pension, and I do have a
Yeah,
401k, so.
You got to
yeah,
invest in precious metal, man. Lead. That's all the way you
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I heard that
Lead,
the lead in the
Lead and
cartridges
brass.
is
lead and
not even
brass.
cheap.
That was the other
Like
one, the brass.
I heard that's not even cheap. Like
Yeah.
Dude,
like
like a box of
7 ounce.
shells that
Yeah.
used to cost me $6 just a few years ago
Hmm.
are now selling for $30 a box.
Mm. Now imagine if you still lived in Cali.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man.
You heard about the gun store?
PTSD.
Yeah, I heard about the gun store. I'm not sure where it's located, but it reminded me of the gay cake situation, where like the journalist called around asking all these bakeries like to bake a cake specifically for a gay wedding, just to see if they could get like an objector,
Uh-huh.
like a
And then what?
conscientious objector. And then they called a million places, and then the one place that was like, you know what, I don't want to make a gay cake. They kind of like jumped on them and made it like a news piece. But there was actually a gun store that was like that they're not gonna sell any ammunition to Biden supporters. And I thought that was the like rich. I thought that shit was amazing.
Oh man.
Like yeah. They said anybody who supported Biden, they're not buying any of my bullets.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
pretty cool. Because you would think like those like the liberals who tend to vote Democrat, they're like staunchly anti-gun. They're
Mm-hmm.
talking about defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
So it would reason that they're against laws. They wouldn't want to buy bullets anyway. But you already know that became like a huge point of contention.
Mm-hmm.
That this private business doesn't want to sell their ammunition to people who are they are in disagreement with, shall we say.
Yet they're okay with like confronting Trump supporters on the street and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah, or like getting like St. Patty's parade, so it's a Catholic thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they gotta have a gay float with
And
scantily
Columbus
clad
Day.
men.
And Columbus Day.
Yeah. They gotta have a scantily clad, again, float with the dudes and just.
That little.
And I mean that shit. That shit is getting me hype. I don't know. I don't know about y'all.
That one clip of the Chappelle show where the dude is like bumping the lawnmower, the black dude's in the back, and he's just like.
Yeah, like I ain't got nothing against those people. I don't mean those people in a pejorative sense, but I'm just saying it's just like in the same way that they say like live and let live. That doesn't mean that like, you have to make the rest of the world conform to your worldview.
Exactly.
And it's just something that kind of goes both ways. But either side on the paradigm are just like it's so loopy right now. Like it's hard to be a centrist. It's everybody just they kind of want you to take a position, and if you kind of deviate from the status quo for whatever reason within that paradigm, like within that socio-political milieu, then that's it. Like they got to discard you. Like nope, this is negative evidence to what we believe. You can't be down with us. Like so this. I feel like a poor man's like Thomas Sowell. You know what I'm saying? Like a black conservative, like a Candace Owens.
So you would label yourself as a conservative or a liberal or a classical liberal, maybe a libertarian. What would you say you are?
I mean, there's like a lot of like meritorious ideologies like in either of those camps. Like you know what I'm saying? Like on either side of the left-right paradigm, like I think like a lot of like the social justice shit, like I don't think there's nothing like intrinsically wrong with it. And then like a lot of like the fiscally conservative, like America First sort of deals and like the sanctity of life, like the pro-life stance, pro-gun, like stuff like that, like really resonates with me. And it's just like it's hard to just kind of like find a camp that
here's an important
where
question.
all those ideas are kind of upheld.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Here's an important question for you then. What would you call taking somebody's money under threat of violence?
The IRS. So
taxation is theft. You believe taxation is theft?
I mean, for all intents and purposes, when it's not used like in accordance with the will of the public that's supplying those taxes. Absolutely,
yeah, I like that. I like that.
So
answer.
You're pretty much a libertarian.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like I like the whole Ron Paul Like that joint, I was all about the Ron Paul.
They
I don't know what's
definitely
I don't
like
know what's
Gary.
up. I don't know what's up with his kid with Rand. I
He
want to like
fell
him.
off the truck a little.
I want to like him, bro. But geez, Louise,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He
It's
needed a
crazy.
little more. He needed a little more corporal punishment in his youth.
they're not
maybe,
they're not
maybe
polar
his
opposites though.
gyno daddy. I don't know,
They're
man.
not polar opposites. It's just like, if you had a Van Damme diagram, you know how usually you have like this circle, that circle, and there's a middle
Yeah,
space. Maybe it's
yeah,
just shifted to where there's still some middle space between them. They do
yeah.
share some similar ideologies, like Rand
I would
Paul.
hope.
Rand
I would
Paul
hope.
is
Yeah,
definitely, as far as fiscal conservatism, like a lot of the stuff he says about, printing money and what are we doing now is going to affect later, like, wait, so
yeah.
there's a lot of things that I'm sure Ron Paul would agree with, but
Yeah.
these
Like,
go ahead.
go on. No, I was gonna say like everybody thought that like Andrew Yang and the universal basic income, like in
Mm-hmm.
response to like automation and just a lot of jobs just kind of being going by the wayside, like with automated trucking and then like Elon Musk making these, you know, big haul trucks that could just like you don't need a person driving them, like you need a couple people to maintain them. But that's like a real concern. Is that like in the same way that like NAFTA, Bill Clinton signs that all these auto manufacturing jobs go abroad. So a lot of the people that would have been invested in like those kind of trades in the automotive industry or any like manufacturing jobs in general here in the United States, they go abroad. Uh, the corporations that we're beholden to, they're the ones that are like getting all the money, and then you got a bunch of kids that are like, okay, well, now I guess I got to go to college.
Hmm.
But we'll get into that later. We'll get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that a
yeah.
little bit later.
So you have like you have a pretty well rounded, like, you're not team one, like you said, you're not in one camp or the other. You do see a
No,
lot of a lot of good things you can pull out of any group.
yeah,
So talk us about you growing up, like
yeah.
how obviously where you are now, where you grew up, because from what I understand, you weren't you're not born in the U.S., right? You were
No,
outside
yeah.
of the U.S. So go take us through that real quick.
So my daddy'd been here for years, like uh early 60s or so.
Hmm.
Like um but I guess I don't know, maybe American women weren't doing it for him. He was like once divorced already,
Mm.
the whole shebang, and then so he goes back to the motherland to go to to the campo, find a little campesina. I'm like really selling my mom short right here, but he went back to the motherland to find somebody like more I guess more
Traditional.
traditional. Right, right. You see, we said that shit simultaneously, but that's exactly what it was. Like somebody who like gender norms as far as they were when he grew up, that they would kind of be like adherent to that, and it just kind of just went back and knocked my mama up, in the late '80s. So it's a huge age difference. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of made things a little weird, like growing up with a dad old enough to be a granddad. But he he fucking like worked, you know, left home like 5 o'clock in the morning to commute to like Long Island and perform his union duties out there. And he like the guy taught himself, like he wasn't like formally educated, not in the Dominican Republic, not here, like wasn't from a particularly like affluent family. So he's been like working to like help support his siblings and all that. Like my grandmother got it in. Like they on my father's side of the family, I think she had like 14 kids. Like a predominating amount of them like biological, and then there were like other kids were like, oh man, like we can't take care of this kid, and then like they take him under the wing because they at least had like storefronts or like some means of like deriving income, like teaching the kid a trade, putting them to work, like whether it was shoe shining, whatever the fuck. But yeah, so my father goes, knocks up my mom, comes back to the States. When he found out that she was pregnant, went back, ties the knot, petitions to bring me and my mother over here. That took a few years, and I think I was like 2 or 3. Actually, that's like one of my earliest memories was like coming into like JFK Airport and it being like cold and we didn't have coats. My mother and I. So it'd be like leaving the airport terminal, hopping on a cab so that my father could take us to the room that he'd been renting, like in here in Manhattan.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was life, for a long time. Um, but yeah, my point being that like industrious guy, like though he wasn't formally educated, he's like one of the smartest people I ever met. Like, kind of taught himself how to like read English. It's not like people act like that shit is like out of this world. And like in hindsight, I'm not trying to like discount like his his intellect, but like it's not like he's learning Mandarin. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's learning Russian, where it's like a Cyrillic alphabet, different
Mm.
lithography. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the same fucking alphabet. Like, sure, English isn't phonological. It's just dumb language. When you look at it like from a conventional sense. But yeah, he picked that shit up. Reading, working, looking through a dictionary, and so that always stuck with me. Like his like love for books and always reading, and always kind of like stimulating his mind or whatever. Um, and yeah, my family just always held like educated people like in high regard. Like those are the people that like I noticed that my mother like respected the most.
Mm.
It was like my teachers, my doctor, like my physician, my pediatrician when I was a kid. Uh, we had like some kind of litigation situation when we were younger. Like I broke my wrist at a public park because it was some like fucked up shit. And I remember like my mother was like beholden to like the lawyer. Like she thought he could do no wrong, even though he was like outright telling me to lie, so we could like win this settlement. Like it was like, this person lacks like moral integrity. Like what the hell is this? Like as a little kid, right? Like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm like, this person's like outright telling me to lie. Like the one thing like my parents asked that I never do, and they still like kind of like fucking have him up on a pedestal. So it was just a thing that it was just like, yo, like, all right, like people who go to school, people who are educated, like that's for all intents and purposes, that's how you make it. So my mother's always like she was in the PTA. She was always like she, the treasurer, the fucking secretary, like the president of the Parent Teachers Association.
Mm-hmm.
So she's always in school, so I could never really fuck up. Like the worst thing that ever probably happened to me was that like I got a hand me down Nintendo Entertainment System from my cousins, because I was addicted to that shit. I was addicted to that shit. And when I won like my I didn't win it. My dad took the like the catalog for like a cookie sale, candy sale type shit. So he takes the catalog to work. All these union guys are like buying them by the box just to kind of do my dad a favor. So
Mm-hmm.
we like won that shit, like the cookie candy sale, like by a landslide. And I didn't even know we were doing it. Like I didn't tell him about it. He just might have like went through my like schoolwork and just saw the catalog, took it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember sitting in the classroom one day and they announced that shit over the PTA, like, yo, Emmanuel, you win the candy sale or whatever. And I was just like, what? They take me to the office, like principal snaps pictures with me, like giving me like this like fake check for like Toys R Us or whatever. It was like a coupon. So we went over there and I was just like, yo, I want a Sega Genesis.
My
And
dad had
after
a
that,
Sega Genesis. That
yeah,
was the greatest.
it was like a bundle that came with like Sonic the Hedgehog, and yeah, it was downhill from there, like academically. Like forget about it. It was like no more reading like the World Book Encyclopedia that my neighbor handed me down. Like I swear to God, I got like the most Cold War. I got the most Cold War knowledge reading this World Book Encyclopedia from '67. I don't know how my neighbor came into possession of that.
I
He
think I
probably
had
wasn't
this.
even
I
in the
had the same
country.
one, and it said
Yo, it was
something like
it
a
was like
planned
green and
moon.
tan.
It said like a planned moon landing. There's a planned moon landing in the near future or something.
That was
Talk
it.
about the moon.
That was it. That was it. So like my whole world view was like the world is Christian, like capitalism is good, and
Well,
it was like, yeah,
so
like that shit. That's what it was, bro. And it
you
was all
so you're
partly,
you're a teacher in New York.
Mhm.
Tell us about
Yeah.
your experiences with the politics of teaching and what it's like.
No, so this is the thing. So I tell you, I got this mindset that it's like education. It's a bastion of social equity and achieving like you know like self sufficiency. Like it's education is a citadel for equality. Like and like this is like I really believe this. That I got my bachelor's in like English language arts. Like right 2009 2010. I graduated from school. I never did anything like related to what my field of study is. Like I worked retail, went into banking. Um, a lot of my friends went into teaching though, and one of my neighbors, they're actually like those like Sex in the City type girls, those wanton women that they come from all around, from the burbs, from like Buffalo and like neighboring parts of New York, and they all went to like some college together here in the city, and then they just got jobs here and they kept working here. One time for St. Patty's Day, we hanging out at one of the girls' place, and her aunt came through. This is like an older, like middle-aged white woman. You know what I'm saying? She was a principal at one of the schools in Harlem. We eating like corned beef and cabbage, taking shots at J&B, like we're turning up. Like even the joint was in the air. Like this woman was smoking blunts with the kids. you know, Shit got real. So she gets real relaxed, and she was like, "Man, like it's, it's those poor kids. They don't have a chance." Not knowing that like in the back, like that was like an aspiration of mine, was to kind of get into teaching, because it was just like on some self-serving shit. Like, yo, how many jobs you get like a union, you get a full salary, you don't have to work throughout the year, you get all these vacations. That was my logic. That was my reason. To hear this woman talking like that, and it's like, damn, yo, like all of these kids as prospects, like kind of hinge on your belief that you could kind of maybe turn things around for them, to
Mm-hmm.
give them an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to actually self actualize and hopefully when they become citizens, whatever, gainfully employed, tax-paying citizens. But
Mm-hmm.
so to hear her talking about it like that shit was like a shot in the heart. Like it was just like, man, because I'd heard something to that effect like while I was going to school. Like every school that I ever went to, elementary school, middle school, high school, were all like closed because the graduation rates were dismal. The test scores were like below like the national average, and it happened for so many years. And instead of just like getting rid of a lousy teacher or a lousy administrator, you got a fucking a powerful, robust union that once you got tenure, is damn near impossible to get you out of. So this is how it gets into the political side of things. So it's just one of those things that just kind of always nagged me. Like, yo, I went to school for this, but I'm at a bank encumbering old ladies with debt not too far after the mortgage crisis in 2008. So
Mm-hmm.
in banking, you're like public enemy number one. There's like public distrust about anybody fucking in a suit with a Wells Fargo or Chase name tag. Like, you know, it kind of did feel scummy. You know what I'm saying? Like they teaching you to, oh yeah, financial solutions. You're helping people, but it's like I'm living alongside people that are like unbankable. They either got fucked up credit, they bounced a check once, so they can't even open an account without like paying the bank to keep their money in there. And it's people in an all like that alternative economy, that informal economy that they either don't have a tax ID, they don't have a social security number, so you know they're for all intents and purposes fucked from banking in a conventional sense. So they can't get a loan, they can't get a business loan, even though they've had a thriving food truck or whatever the fuck. Like it, so you kind of see it. You kind of see it. Like this isn't actually that helpful. And that's to an extent that's to be expected when you're in the private sector. But like in schools, it's just like when you see that kind of thing, it really fucking takes you aback. Like you think like, yo, this is a public institution. It's supposed to be in service to the public that in one way or another funds it. They send their kids there. Those enrollment numbers directly correlate to how much money the school is, getting allocated. And it was like apparent that the whole shit was like a game. Like it was like a ruse. Like
So,
like
so you
it is
realized this
weird.
before you were an educator, like
It,
before.
it like I had like inclinations because of like what that woman said. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like something like that. And then I'm like, yo, let me get to this. So I left the bank and shit. I went into the education and had to go back, finish some classes. You know how the game goes. And I got into a fellowship. So I'm like teaching while finishing off those last couple of credits that I needed, et cetera, et cetera. It was like an initiative that it was supposed to like train men to teach. So who would have thought that they need men in certain schools with certain demographic that sometimes doesn't have a male role model at home in some instances. So they thought that that was a good idea, and that was an initiative that they funded here in the city. Um, Not very many men in the program though.
mm.
It was like there was, you know, but it's just crazy. Like you go in there and you kind of the politics. It's not ostensible because everybody is on the same wavelength. So everybody's on the exact same wavelength. Everybody kind of shares the exact same opinion. Like the union membership is monolithic, like in an ideological sense. Like nobody says anything ill about the union. There was just like a landmark case. I think the shit went as far as the Supreme Court, but they basically told the teacher that you're not obligated to pay union dues. But that was something that we weren't even allowed to like even mention or discuss. It's
Which
like,
part
yeah,
are you not allowed to mention?
the fact that there was like a landmark case where like a teacher who was paying into the union like decided that like no, he wasn't going to pay into the union.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
right to work cases.
yeah, but this was like very like pedagogue, like intrinsic. Like it was definitely like about the like United Federation of Teachers or the AFT. It was one of like those big teacher unions, and that teacher was like, well, where does it say that I have to pay? And like they ruled in his favor, but like they like supplicated with us that like, yo, everybody's got to pay, like this is what it's going to be, and that's the end of it.
Well,
And
that's
they
because
made
and
yeah.
so I've got a big beef with unions, and I've got like my mother-in-law is, well, she was a teacher, she's now a vice principal. Um,
Nice.
she My mother's husband was a teacher for a number of years.
Public
Um,
schools.
Public school, recently retired. Both of them actually.
Congrats to them.
They survived, or one
Yeah.
survived, and the other is surviving. Um, but what's your take on the unions, the school teachers
That's the
unions?
thing. That's the thing. Like in the same way that like I think education, like public education, is important. Like let's go back to like the inception of like American public schools. Like the schools started like in the Northeast because they wanted to make it was like the Protestant Reformation type Martin Luther shit. Like they wanted to make sure that everybody was literate, so you didn't have to go through like a clergy. That wasn't your in between like the word, right? Between the Lord and the lay person. Like they didn't want you to like, oh, you go to church, they're gonna read this shit to you in Latin. It is what it is. You go through the rites and the rituals and take your ass home. Like they kind of wanted to empower the common person to be able to kind of like interpret the shit by themselves. And that was like the Protestantism that made its way into like New England. You think the Quakers, you know what it is. These people were exiled, for all intents and purposes. They to get away from the persecution of like the Anglican Church, which incidentally was the church that was established in the South. So it's like they had no vested interest in like sending your kid to go to school to like learn, like for what? And you know how it works. It's like when and I'm gonna use the word like corporate because that's what these were like this planter class, like the landlords, that's what they were like that they were like corporations, and they were like they governed over like these little like tracts of land, and then they did what they wanted there. So it's just like when you have some kind of like common ground with like your captors, with like those like corporate ideologues, like you want to, it's like what's in the best interest for them is also going to be good for you. So
Well, yeah.
when the
So, but what about the
yeah,
union specifically that you've dealt with?
but like that's the thing. It's like I don't have a beef with unions because I know that that's like a countervailing force. I know that's
So the
something.
ones that what about the ones that are saying,
Yeah.
in fact, in New York, yeah, the teachers, are
Mhm.
saying that they're willing to go back, but the union is saying no way,
Right. Right.
and
And that's one of the things. It's like if there were no unions, like if we eradicated unions, those corporations, those decision makers, stakeholders, and whatever the fuck it is, they're gonna run away with it. They're gonna run away with it, and
Mm.
it's that's honestly what it is. And then
so
like you got
you
these
still see
unions
value, you still see
in
value in the union.
in like collectivization and like you know collective bargaining, and just people like setting what they deserve, etc.
See,
Like
I
I'm not.
personally
Yeah,
agree in the
yeah,
sense of collective bargaining, that type of power of the individual is important, and the right to do so. I disagree with the fact that somebody is forced to be a member of a union to be able to
yeah,
work in a particular profession,
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
and frankly find it kind of abhorrent.
So it's basically
Um,
No,
like, and so from my understanding, you cannot opt out of these unions. If I was a teacher in a school district in your state, the minute that I get my license to teach and I'm in a classroom, I am paying monthly dues. I don't have a choice. I could be
yeah,
like, you know what, I
a
because
hundred some odd bucks a month. Yeah,
mm,
just by virtue of working in that municipality or for that district, etc. Yeah,
mm,
but the problem I've got though is that they're no longer really fighting for the little guy anymore.
they're not, and they're not,
They've
they're
turned
not,
into
they're not.
political
Exactly,
machines.
they're lobbying groups, lobbying firms, if you will, and that's the thing that makes it like really disgusting. Because if even though even if they're protecting a shitty teacher, right? Even if that's all they're doing, at least that's like a union paying a due paying member, a card carrying member, and they're doing their due diligence by protecting them, however shitty they might be. But that's not even like their biggest initiative now. The biggest thing now is like, all right, this is we're a political machine, and we're gonna back like the candidate who gives us the most concessions, or whichever one keeps the charter schools down, so to keep us aloft. And that's the sick part. That's the sick part. You got these charter schools doing wonders, where kids like from like single parent impoverished households are performing at least at national level or exceeding national level in places that like I'm saying, like schools like the ones where I attended, same circumstances, where kids were barely graduating. And these charter schools, they use private funds, but they're not under the charter of like the in this instance, the Department of Education, the New York City DOE, the New York State Education Department. They operate under their own private situation. They teach their curriculum, and then their kids are obligated to take those state exams, for reasons of accountability, and the kids do better. But those schools, they can't continue to get private funds or public funds and private funds because they do their own fucking fundraising, and to just expand and displace the public schools that are doing such a lousy job. That can't happen because all the politicians that are getting elected are doing so partly by a big push from teachers unions, and that's where they get a lot of their fundraising from.
See, this is I'm
a
gonna
big circle jerk.
Full
Yeah.
disclosure. I've really got a bone to pick with unions. I worked for, I ran a legal support business for about a year,
Nice.
many years ago, and we worked for
Hats off
unions.
to
Got a
you.
lot, and they pay really well because it's not their money, right? Um,
Nah,
but
running a business though, bro.
the
Tipping my hat off.
the one of the things that really got to me
Yeah.
was in the city I was in. They're opening a charter school,
Okay.
and the teachers union, the local teachers union, was suing them, trying to prevent them, prevent them, and just cause hurdles.
They don't want that competition, man.
And so they would have like a stack of things that they needed served to the principal,
Yeah.
on a particular day, but they didn't. They were willing to pay me for multiple service fees instead of serving everything at once because they wanted me to go there and be disruptive. They gave me specific times to go there when they were having board meetings and when they were meeting with the like some of their money people and stuff like that. So that I would basically go there to interrupt that meeting and give her another copy of pretty much the same thing that I gave her, an hour prior. And they were giddy about that. And when we were wrapping things up, we hadn't
Yeah.
actually decided to stop working for unions at the time because they paid us good and they were frankly keeping us afloat.
Yo.
But I went back and talked to my partner and was like, dude, I just feel shitty. Every time I go there and I give this to her, it's just I feel like I'm chipping away a little bit more at her soul because I knew the school district. I knew how shitty the school that the charter school ended up buying and taking over was. And I knew how good they could help the community with being a STEM school or whatever.
Yeah.
And just the last time I served her, like, listen, I'm just doing my job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great thing here, and I hope you keep fighting it. They're not going to stop, but I hope you don't either. And then what finally ended up doing it, we were serving another union guy. This wasn't the school union. This was like a bread loader. I don't know. They were bread delivery guys. And I had to go out there at like 4:30 in the morning to serve him at 5 because they were doing a work slowdown. And he wasn't slowing down. He was loading up his truck with his bread and doing his route like he was paid to do.
Yeah.
And while I was waiting, while we were waiting for the 5 o'clock, the union rep was just giddy with excitement about and talking about, oh, we're going to fuck this guy. We're going to make an example out of him. He's going to learn to never cross us again, blah, 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 and that kind of shit. And that was it. That was the last time we did anything for the unions. We lost a fuck ton of money because we cut their business off. But so I unions in principle, the old idea of unions, and the coal miners and stuff like that,
Yeah.
great
Right.
thing at its time. But I think I've been struggling with how to say this because it's not that they've outlived their usefulness; it's that they've evolved so much to the point they're just corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like any organism, like any mindless organism, like a corporation, like how it just lives to like add to the shareholders to get them their returns. Like that's its sole reason for existing. You know what I'm saying? Like self-preservation and reaping rewards, like yielding some kind of profit. And that's what the unions have morphed into. A way to like enrich like the union leaders uh and their most ardent supporters. Like I 100%, dude. You nailed it. You nailed it right there.
And I wish there was a way of phrasing it in a way that's not so
Yeah.
immediately divisive. If
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
no, I don't support unions, immediately you've got half the country jumping on that because what, you're not for the little guy. No, I'm for the little guy, and that's the point. That's the reason I'm not for unions, because they're not for the little guy anymore. They're for themselves.
Yeah.
But if you made a very valid point, and again, my experiences, with my mother's husband, and they were protecting really, really bad teachers just because they've been there a long time,
Yeah.
and not the ones who were concerned about the kids. They're just like biding out their time to retirement. And what if you could have your way of fixing things with the unions, what would it be?
I mean, shoot.
Besides burning it down and starting from scratch, which in my opinion is pretty much the only way to do it.
It would have to be like a complete like structural change, like where and like it's already like this. It's already like this. Like a lot of union representatives are former teachers, etc. But yeah, it's honestly like like because it's so like it's like a Gordian knot. Like everything is tied to everything, and it's impossible to kind of like divvy it up and to separate or excise like the cancer, the tumor, because it's all just kind of wound up together. Like if there was a way where like where teacher evaluations were more fair, and it was like a panel of people that did it but yeah, it just seems like that would rectify the problems of like protecting bad teachers. Yeah, but like a lot of the more like political underpinnings of like what the unions are doing nowadays, it wouldn't even address that. It wouldn't even address that.
The only thing I can think of really that would effectively do it without burning the whole system down is kind of reworking Citizens United. I agree that if George Soros wants to donate $1 billion to Hillary Clinton's campaign, he should be able to do so. That's his right. However, it should be his name attached to that. Yeah. So if organizations, if corporations, organizations, they can't do political actions on their own. Like a political action committee could coordinate with people, but basically eliminating dark money. They can't do campaign ads. A union, like a union couldn't do that without everybody signing off on it or saying, I want to donate an extra, $50 towards so and so's campaign. All right, cool. That's that individual's right to donate their money to whatever candidate they want. And I think if they take that ability away from the union, then I think that's the only way of kind of trying, making a step towards depoliticizing unions. However, I know their argument would be, well, we're supporting the candidates that support the teachers. We're just taking care of the teachers, not our own pocketbooks. We're taking care of the teachers, the poor teachers who,
Yeah, I mean, and that's funny that you say that, because like I was recently like looking into setting up like a non-for-profit, like a little like arts like extracurricular situation where like you could get some money from like private investors and like go into a school. You pay yourself a decent salary, but you try to like teach the arts, like something, like give kids like an outlet, like with the mission of like reducing gang violence or something like that. Like getting like the 501, 3C, whatever the hell. Mm-hmm.
You know what my old attorney said?
Yeah,
there is so much money to be made nonprofits.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and not even like looking at it like in a self-serving sense, but like there literally is so much money and so much grants out here that, and then I know that the average non-for-profit is probably shit. They're probably somebody's pocketing money, somebody's doing some filthy shit. Like you should have seen like the kind of deals that my school was signing. Like they had to go through like a vendor, they had to do certain little shit, certain little finagling, but they were paying like $500,000 for AC units for the school. Like, but then they had to rework the electrical system, and that was like another $1.5 million in like a school that's closing, that's getting phased out, mind you. But like all yeah, like just a lot of funny shit.
Like tax dollars at work, man.
Garbage
to spend money was not your own.
Yeah, getting garbage books, like little fucking stupid books, like none of it like canon, like none of it like nothing that you ever heard of, like little garbage books by like a fucking no-name publisher, and they're like pumping these into the schools, like shitty furniture, like that particle board furniture, like all that crap, like at exorbitant costs. And yeah, and I know people got rich for coming out and painting murals in the hallway to like uplift kids' morale and shit. All of that, it was all like farcical, bro. And I
So
know that
here's
people out here
this
getting
kind of
money.
ties into that because a lot of money is going to these programs now.
Yeah,
What is your take on critical race theory and how it's being pushed in classrooms essentially, I'll be blunt. I
yeah.
see public schools as pretty much a waste. If I had a school age kid these days, there's no way in hell I'd send them to public school because they're basically indoctrination centers.
Yeah,
So
you said it for me. And indoctrination centers like that for like one or two purposes. One is either like you're gonna be smart enough to fill out these forms, to press these buttons in the right sequences, but you're not gonna be so smart that you come to like question
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
inherent disparity, or whatever bullshit is the system is a part of. Like you're gonna you know you're not really gonna have those critical thinking faculties. Like you're not the kind of person that would set up if your landlord, you got a slum landlord, you're not gonna like team up and do like a renters association, and try to like wrest the building away from the shitty landlord to make it a co-op.
So
Like,
in a sense, it's like they're
yeah,
teaching you what to think, but not how
they,
to think,
yeah,
like
they're
how to
teaching you
formulate.
just
Yeah.
how to like conform, like be nice, be well behaved, don't raise a stink, or
be a
conversely,
good drone.
yeah, like that whole Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall, like that's all it is. It's like
Mm.
the socialization. You're not really going over there to learn like discrete skills that are gonna help you. You're not going over there to to even like learn how to like cooperate with people, or like stuff that's actually gonna be beneficial to you like later in life. You're going to school to learn either like whatever agendas need to be ushered in, or you're going in there to just kind of like lose individuality. It's like honestly,
Mm.
just to prevent you from being an individual, and just kind of like yeah, join the Borg.
See,
This is and like
that's
you said, what you're supposed to think.
you hit the nail on the head. It seems like everything is in society today, um, with even with like the major political
Mhm.
uh, movements and things like that, with the Green New Deal or the Great Reset, things like that. It's not about individuality anymore. It's about collectivism.
Yeah,
Even like Black Lives Matter. The difference between the Black Lives Matter Incorporated and the actual Black Lives Matter movement. The Black
no,
Lives Matter movement is important. I think is a very valuable piece
like
of our
it,
society and history.
it like dissolving the nuclear family. Like we
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the importance of having like a male, and having a nuclear family and all that shit.
So you
Nope,
read their shit. I
nope.
read
Oh
that the race
yeah,
thing. I'm like,
bro.
oh
Come
my
on.
god, what the
I
fuck are
got
you?
I gotta I gotta I gotta I gotta fill in the blanks before I formulate an opinion. Like and at face value, like yeah, like what disenfranchised person, or what like socially conscious person wouldn't like champion that cause? You know what I'm saying? But then you go and you look into it, and you're just like, wait a minute, like what the hell is this? Like I owe my success, like I said, to my pops sitting there reading a book to me, and us going through the dictionary to go figure out what this funny word means. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just in my formative years. That was like the biggest thing you could have done for a kid. But these people are talking about like, nope, like we're gonna raise kids like a fucking village, like we're fucking Algonquin people, like being one with nature.
You
Like
know
we,
what? Actually, you're right. It started with that
it's
whole it
weird,
takes a
bro.
village shit.
Yeah, but that's not the society that we live in. Honestly, that's not the society that we live in currently. And the way, and it's like it's like discordant, like that's counterintuitive to me. It's like, yeah, you want people to like live together and care about each other and all this takes a village crap, but then they're like, you can't go outside, you can't go to church, you can't you can't have fellowship, there's a pandemic, you can't open your business. Like
But it's okay to protest.
yeah, that's
Oh wait,
crazy to me.
it's okay to protest if it's an approved cause.
Yeah, don't you dare march the Capitol.
I was nowhere near there.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
All right, what's your take on that?
Just
I got to say that was the
That was
most
so
bullshit
whack.
pussy.
That was
the
so
most
whack.
pussy insurrection I've ever fucking seen.
Nobody brought a
No.
gun. Nobody brought a
No,
gun.
it's not even about that. Because if they did, they just probably would have mowed all those poor people down, bro. It would have been like some Tiananmen Square shit. They would have came in with the tanks. Like I'm glad it didn't like devolve into something like that, bro. Because yeah,
Did you hear they're finally admitting that the cop did not get hit in the head with the fire extinguisher like they said, and
the one that like died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-
They're attributing like cop suicides,
yeah,
like
that was the
Capitol
second
Police
cop, yeah.
suicides to that. I don't know. Maybe the guy was disheartened. Like maybe he realized, like, God damn it, I was defending like our captors.
Well, the first guy who died on the day of the
Yeah.
riot, whatever.
Mhm.
The first report I heard was he had a stroke and died back at the office. Immediately, that was within like 20 minutes. That was scrubbed, and
Suicide.
we just heard that he had gotten, he was killed due to the protests. It was a couple days later that the other cop committed suicide.
That's nuts. That is nuts. I don't know, man.
But yeah, I mean it's just,
I personally wouldn't have gone to those lengths. And I definitely disagree with Jay saying that they ought to have brought guns or
well, no,
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
think it's
chastising them for not bringing
That's not what
guns.
I'm saying. I'm saying, the fact that people throw that it was an insurrection, it's like
No way.
Hold on,
That it was
I've got to interject this real quick right here.
that it was a coup.
I want to state for the record that the Jake and Drake show does not support armed insurrection against the U.S. government or any governments in
No,
any way, shape, or form. Thank you.
no.
But what I'm saying is the
Like and
media is
subscribe.
spinning this shit to where it's an. I'm like, dude,
No, I
was
get
just-
you,
It was
I
a
get you.
protest that got out of hand. I mean,
Yeah.
if people really wanted to insurrect the government, yes, they are all there voting, validating the electoral college. Nobody brought a fucking gun, and I hear, but there were pipe bombs, and I was like, there were pipe bombs. There were two of them. They didn't go off. And if you ask me where the pipe bombs were placed, it wasn't for the people in the Capitol. Where them shits were placed was to maybe they were either there for publicity purposes or they were there to harm the people protesting. And as it came out later, they were there a day before the protesters were there. So
Weren't they discovered and disarmed a day before?
I don't know the full story. I just know I was told, oh, well, there were pipe bombs there. And I'm just like, dude, whatever, man. Like, you don't storm the Capitol with 2 pipe bombs and people with fucking flags and Viking hats. That's not how you insurrect the Capitol. Like, if you were coming to overthrow the government, you were bringing guns, you were bringing machetes, flaming torches, rakes. Like, no, they just it was a demonstration, and some people rioted, and it got out of hand. How are we gonna look at this and say this is reprehensible? And it's like, dude, what the hell went on for 9 fucking months? Like,
And then when the same media that's like looking at burning cars and they're like, yeah, it's mostly peaceful.
And they've got insurance to pay for it.
You literally
people
everything that comes out of the media though. Like I hope people like have like a consciousness, like awakening. Like I wish I had a fancy one word for it, but I hope people just kind of like, I don't want to say woke or nothing like tangentially sounding like awoken.
I believe the term
But
is
like that-
epiphany, but yeah.
Yeah, like people need to come to the realization that the news is just like a fucking mouthpiece for like these private
Propaganda.
interests. Yeah, like, and it's not even like Chinese. At least it's mommy daddy government. At least like we know mommy daddy government. Like we know who it is. We know is Winnie the Pooh over there. But like here, it's like You got Jeff Bezos, you got Bill Gates, any moneyed interest, the Koch brothers, George Soros. Those are the people that tell us what to think. And the
Well,
politicians are just fucking on a string.
for saying that,
Whatever side of the aisle they're on, they're sold out. And it couldn't be more patently obvious, man.
for saying that, we just lost our one Chinese listener.
Damn it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. Donald Trump don't trust China.
I got a question though.
I
China
love
is
you, Winnie the Pooh.
Y'all were really in depth with the conversation in the last topic before this. I did want to ask you your personal opinion. Like, yeah, you did say that we did talk about unions, but what there aren't like so in Texas, it is illegal for there to be a teachers union. Okay.
No kidding.
So there is no teachers union for teachers that teach in Texas. Like, what's your take? Give me a good take. Give me a bad take. What good and bad of that?
The good is that if a teacher's lousy and an administrator is forthright, they're gonna get rid of that teacher and then replace them with somebody who can do their job effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So that would it would seem that would be something that would serve the students best.
Mm-hmm.
It could also mean that teachers probably they might not get the support and the resources that they require in order to do their job, in an efficacious way. It remains to be seen. Like I gotta see what the test scores are looking like. But they actually the guy who's now like he's not a district superintendent. He's like the fucking the top dog
Mm-hmm.
for the New York City, the chancellor, the school's chancellor. It's actually a guy that they brought over from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The last woman that we had in there, Carmen Farinas, Spaniard, she was just like, oh, that shit was like a gang.
Mm.
That was straight up mafia ties shit. Like it was just like La Cosa Nostra all over again. It was just weird. It was just like a bunch of like, oh, like how nepotism like with the relatives, but it was like, yo, like you've been banging with me since the beginning. Like you were that dirty principal that I could rely on. So it was like, boom, let me make you a superintendent.
So like, in everything in your ideal world, because you're more this than either one of us. If you were a fucking governor of a state or you,
because like what's to say that they're not gonna be like, you know what? Well, since these teachers have no power of collective bargaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't have a union. It's like what's to say that they like if they work overtime, like they're not gonna get paid for that. It's like, oh, you're a salaried employee, like you're not done grading those papers, fuck it. Like or, whoever I don't know. Oh, this after school program, you're gonna do it because your school's failing, and like we're not gonna pay you extra for it. Like like worker exploitation is a real thing, and you know what I'm saying. Like a happy cow is a more productive cow. Like the milk tastes better, they produce more milk. So it's just like that could have like a fucking a detrimental effect on like the teachers' performance and like the in turn how well the kids do. Like if the teachers feel like, damn, like I'm just a human resource to be expended and I don't have any job protection. Like those are real stresses that people contend with. But similarly, like if the requirements to becoming a teacher aren't that great in Texas, I'm this is just an example, but like I know that they have to have masters, like national board certification. Like Texas is actually one of the states that has like stringent teacher certifications. You know what I'm saying? I've been looking around. I don't want to be in New York for the rest of my life.
We'd love to have you in Texas. I'll be retiring in Texas soon.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? No state taxes. What's not to like? But warm weather. Hey, you got the Gulf there. It's good fishing. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, those countervailing forces. Like you gotta have some kind of check on the other party's power.
So
that's why
is it more or less beneficial to have a union? Like throw aside like the corruption and the political and lobbying of a union. Assume that everybody means well. Nobody's trying to profit or is it more or less beneficial to have a union for teachers? I, I,
That's a tough question, That's a tough question. I mean, right off the rip, I don't think that any of the charter school employees, just black and white, I don't think that they have union representation.
mm-mm.
And those seem to be the best performing schools here in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I'm gonna leave that at. That's not my opinion. I don't think that union should be done away with, you know, as an idea in their entirety. But you again, in the same way that a teacher is evaluated on their effectiveness, teacher performance, they take measures of the student learning. Like, so if the kid scored this high and then the next year his performance increases, that teacher's successful, right? Under a growth model. It's the same kind of thing. If you have a union and then the kids aren't performing well, maybe get rid of the union.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. It all depends. If you have a union and everything is peachy, then it might be working in that municipality. Because, like, again, it's like, as even as much as they might be like politically monolithic and all kind of like hive minded in that sense, all unions don't like comport themselves the same way. There might be unions that realize that, like, yo, this teacher's trash. All their kids have been failing. They haven't been doing, they haven't been living up to that mission statement of delivering like a quality education. Meeting the kids' fundamental needs. Like Individuals with Disabilities Act. Like, if you're not fucking doing the bare minimum that's required of you, like within reason, then why are you doing it? Why are you even teaching?
See,
And that's
the way I think of it, and this is a guy that isn't a teacher. I'm outside looking in, and I'm like, look, everybody I've ever talked to about teaching, because I've talked to a lot of teachers, they always give the same answer, and the same answer is, I do it for the kids, right? Because you have that. Well, why do baseball players, or why do celebrities, why do they make more money? And the most important people, in our society are basically teachers, which I disagree. I think the most important people are the fucking parents. Like, the parents. Teachers are up there, but the most important people in society should be the parents of those kids. Okay? But everybody joins this teaching journey knowing that you're not ever going to make it big. Like, you may end up being an administrator, but you're still not getting paid as much as Patrick Mahomes. That's just not going to happen. It's just the way it is. And that being said, if some of the teachers looked at their own mission statement, what they tell everybody, the same fucking line that they feed people, it's all about the kids. And then you have these people striking, not wanting to go to work, still fucking getting a paycheck, because to me, quick tangent, when they started going to this COVID shit, I was like, okay, fine. We don't know how deadly it is. We don't know. And now we know. We have enough science. We know what the how virulent this disease is. And it's like, the first thing I said is I had a little discourse with the teacher. I said, look, I was like, I fucking pay this much money in taxes, and these schools ain't even fucking open. The lights ain't on. I mean, the janitor only has to clean once a month. The AC's not getting run. The toilets aren't getting flushed. Y'all motherfuckers are sitting at home doing half your job. And the teacher's reply to me was like, well, what would you think? I was like, look, I have to deal. I still go to work every day, and I still am expected to go in and move a vehicle or go in and deal with soldiers. Like, I'm expected to do that. But your job as a teacher, half of it is fucking babysitting. And that's an agreement that we have as a polite society. We don't want to call y'all babysitters.
We're fingerprinted babysitters.
But you guys are, and you get paid $60,000-$70,000 a year, and now you're relegated to just creating online curriculum. Okay, I understand you can't use the same lesson plan you used for the past 5 fucking years. You have to fucking dig something out, be a little fucking creative. But isn't that why you went to college for 6 fucking years? That is the whole point. Like, you were supposed to be able to fucking create curriculum
flexibly
to get these kids to fucking learn something to do whatever. And my dig has been, so how about we take away half your fucking paycheck?
That resonates with me a lot, really deeply, because as a novice teacher, I did it for 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So
I was effective all those years, and I had to make everything from scratch.
mm.
so we're
Nobody,
we're actually we're actually running out of time.
yeah,
I want to make sure I get this ask Cole question in, and if
yeah.
others are interested in the
Let's do
card
it.
game. It's really cool. It's really fun. You can get it at askcole.io. We don't get any money for it, but if you tell them that we referred you, they'll say, "Who the fuck? What are you talking? Who are you talking about?" Um, this is a good question for the topics we've had, and I'm interested in hearing your take on it. Uh,
Okay. Well, so what are the parameters? Like one word answers.
nope,
First thing that
just
comes to
just
mind.
just the answer, but keep in mind that we are running out of time.
You got it.
Um, Ask Cole question 123. Are there any viewpoints so offensive that they deserve to be shut down or suppressed? If so, which ones?
No, none, none, none. No. Because the power in confronting an erroneous idea is that you have like a sound refutation of it. So if you bring up something that's so controversial, right? The like I can't conceive of something that's so outlandish, so out there that I can't like even formulate an argument against it. You know
Now,
that
I want to clarify. I believe
yeah.
you're specifically targeting statements that are just merely offensive, not
No, we could
not.
talk about topics like you
Well, I mean,
like
what I mean is not advocating a crime. Like I'm not gonna. I was gonna
no,
rattle
yeah,
off
yeah,
some
yeah,
ideas.
like yeah, like if I'm like doing some anarchist cookbook shit and I'm teaching people how to like make Molotov cocktails out of like their old like
Well, no, that's okay because
barbecue grease, like I don't know, I
that's
don't
okay. And those poor lawyers in New York were just,
know.
supporting BLM.
I'm not. No,
But so as far as like just an offensive idea, like
just yeah, like if you have questions about like the moon landing, like people might think that's like anathema, like oh my god, like how dare they? If like some like revisionist
well, of
history,
course, we all know that the moon landing was shot on a studio set in
right?
LA.
Nah, I feel you, but no, I don't think anything's off the table. Like anything that is dialectical, like anything that is contestable, that is like you present it as fact, and if it's a fact, it's a fact. As hard a truth as it is to stomach. If you're telling something to me that's truthful, like it is what it is. Conversely, if you advance an idea that you think is true and it's not true, then I feel like I'm obligated to maybe educate you, to illuminate on why there's some like logical failure or some logical inconsistency as to how you arrived at that conclusion. Like
Well,
that,
I
yeah, that like that's what like academia, like that's what it is ideas at the king of the hill.
oh god,
So
we could spend hours talking about the
yeah,
corruption of academia these days.
no, yeah. If an idea is so like sound that it can't be refuted, then it's the truth.
Have
Or
you heard,
or
have you heard of James Lindsay?
no, who's that?
He was one of the guys who did those fake. They did fake studies,
Oh
fake
yeah,
woke studies that they got published in several journals. Like
yes, yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes. Yeah, I've heard of the studies, but I didn't know the guy was James Lindsay. Okay.
that's just one of the people. He's somebody. If you're on
Like
Twitter,
really
follow him.
absurd shit that like
Yeah,
if you just read it, you'd be like, really? They let this get published in an academic journal?
yeah. I remember one of them was about like fixed dogs and unfixed dogs and whether they hump male legs or female legs or something like that. But
Yeah, but there, this is
but
that's the
we do have to wrap up. So it's been customary to give our guests the final word, as long as you end it with taxation is theft.
I mean, this we live in a really like synthetic world, right? It's all very contrived. Like certain aptitudes, certain dispositions are conducive to like making it, to like thriving, you know? So it's like a social Darwinism kind of thing. But let's be honest, like it's I don't know like I don't want to get into like this whole like racial differences thing. Like I got into it with Robin actually. We were kind of discussing like why like certain people like evolve differently. Like is evolution even a thing? And I absolutely believe that like we have certain adaptations, certain customs, but that being the more important thing it's like it's all about the customs. It's all about like the culture. So I definitely think that like nature is more heavily weighted, or nurture is more heavily weighted than nature in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like anybody like those charter schools that are doing wonders with these like inner city kids, or like the studies that they did with like German or Americans that went and like lived in Germany after World War II, and like the tens of thousands of kids, like mixed race kids that were like living over there, and they performed on par with the rest of their peers because there was no subculture that kind of like commanded half of their attention, that like took like a third of their brains and like said, well, this is what your identity is, and these are the circumstances you have to live under, like the whole victimhood. Or I don't want to get too heavy here in the final closing statements, but just bear that in mind. Just bear that in mind, our wonderful listeners.
All 5 of them.
Well, yeah, we had
Thank
6, and then you offended the Chinese one. So
Jeez Christ, I
yeah,
hate it. I hate it.
I'll deal with it, dude.
I love China.
Um, well, with that being said, we gotta let our guest go. It was a really really great interview. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Wish we had more time. I wish Darian had more drugs so that we could get through this interview, because
Yep,
we
I
had
agree.
we had a guy on here for like 2.5 hours, dude. I would love Jesus, man. I didn't even get to finish my rant.
We'll,
So
Hey,
we'll come.
we
We'll come
can
back
come back. We can come back sometime
next
when all
time.
my surgeries are over
mm,
and go for a couple hours.
yeah,
All right. Well, hang in there, bud.
Because I love talking shit about unions.
it's not all about unions though.
we
I
can
did
It's
want to.
we
true.
can
It's
talk
true.
about tenure
And
next.
I did get some new ideas and a new approach to it.
Mm,
So
Yeah. I mean, like you can say what you want, just as long as you say it tactfully enough that the the opposition, if you will, aren't immediately turned off by what it is that you have to say.
dude, if you say 2 + 2 is 4, that's offensive to some of these people.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. And then you're dealing with a fucking wackadoo, and then you don't need to waste your time.
You put it nicer than I would have, sir.
Yeah,
I
but
think
yeah,
wackadoo is going to be my new go-to for because I don't think that saying wackadoo can get you canceled these days, right?
no, yeah. You never know.
mm. Well, shit. With that being said, I'd like to thank Manny Harlem for coming over. We're gonna drop a link to his Twitch channel in the chat. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. We're trying to get comments, like even the bad ones. Tell me that I suck a fat dick or something. That'd be great. Tell me
He
my
does it
football
well
team
too, though.
sucks. Like I mean, he would know because his dick ain't fat. But all right, he's got a big one. It just ain't big around. But
Make me whip it out on camera, sir. We'll get banned.
Man,
he got that wide angle lens. Like, whoa, is that a Coke can you got? Like, nah, it's a wide angle lens. But
I got a little African ancestry, but I'm afraid the stereotype doesn't ring true, folks.
and then next
Regular.
time, you know what?
Have,
You know, Manny, we're doing a drinking stream, right? Just to throw this out here. So I'm gonna have to get some of that Mama Juana, and me and him are both gonna have to like hit up that Mama Juana.
Is that a whiskey? Or a
oh,
bourbon? So I thought we were doing a bourbon.
it's wrong, my friend. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's
If we're gonna
It's
just do drinks sometime, I've got a whole bunch
fake
of stuff.
aged rum.
no.
Yeah.
You can make it a whiskey. You can make a Mama Juana a whiskey, pretty
Yeah.
much. But now we'll just keep it to bourbon, and scotches, and Irish whiskeys. So But once again, thank you for tuning into the show. We will be back next week. We got like 2 more weeks until Darian is done completing his cyborg process, and we should have 1.5 hour to 2 hour shows. But with that being said, I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
And this is Jake and Drake Show. We'll see y'all next week.